Hi, everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Case.
Ready to take the play?
First up, we're in Fort Valley, Georgia, for the sentencing of Ralph Stanley Elrod Jr. The 59-year-old pled guilty to multiple charges, including 2 counts of malice murder and 3 counts of aggravated assault on a peace officer for a deadly rampage captured almost entirely on video. The cell phone footage shows 2 young men riding motorized vehicles down Elrod Street when he allegedly stops by pointing a shotgun at one of the riders.
Yes, sir.
The 2 young men were staying with family down the street and reported the confrontation to police.
The first time he pulled it on my son, it was like that. Who is he? My neighbor.
2 Peach County Sheriff's officers then paid Elrod a visit.
Howdy. Tell me what's going on with your neighbor. Man, I've had multiple complaints with these people over here. I'm sure y'all had. This is the first complaint I've heard about it. Okay? And the problem is that you took what you felt was your authority out of the road.
No,
and you told that man. You told that man that you're gonna kill him.
No.
Well, I'm just telling you, they had a video going, and that's terrible for you. Yeah, terrible for you. Y'all want to do for the last 10, 11 months, man, it ain't been up for sure hell in this neighborhood because of them.
The conversation seems relatively civil until the deputy asked his next question.
Where's your gun at? What difference does that make? Well, just so you know, you're under arrest. Okay? Yes.
What's captured in this final frame of video is Elrod pulling a concealed handgun from his waistband. He would use it to shoot and kill both responding officers, 41-year-old Sergeant Patrick Sondran and 37-year-old Deputy Daryl Smallwood. Moments later, as backup officers arrive, dashcam video shows Elrod returning from his house wearing a bulletproof. But before he can take full cover in front of a police cruiser, an officer's shot hits Elrod in the side as he opens fire. After unleashing a second barrage of bullets, Elrod sinks to the ground and surrenders. No other officers were harmed in the shootout. Ralph Stanley Elrod was arrested and charged with a host of violent crimes, including murder.
Sir, you are Ralph Elrod? Yes. Got that. All right. Mr. Elrod, you've been charged with the offense of murder.
At his first appearance hearing, the judge explains Elrod's situation as well as his rights.
This is the most serious charge we have. It carries a maximum penalty of death. You understand that? That's right. And because of that, you're entitled to a lawyer. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. All right. Do you have a lawyer? Yes, sir. You know, obviously, you always have the right to represent yourself. I think that's a colossally bad idea, terrible idea to do that. But at this point, you'll be held until somebody makes a bond motion and the judge can rule upon that. You understand? Yes, sir.
In exchange for his guilty plea, the district attorney agreed not to pursue the death penalty. Now, at Elrod's sentencing hearing, 2 years after the officers were killed in a courtroom full of their fellow officers, members of the victims' families share their impact statements.
My dad was a great man. He changed my life for the better. It's wrong for me to say that he died, because he didn't die. He was taken from us. He was murdered for wearing a badge. He wore a badge put it on, but because he wanted to.
I am here today to speak on behalf of myself and my son, a sweet, precious, innocent child who is far too young to fully understand what has led us to the courtroom today. Wyatt turned 3 years old a little less than 2 months prior to the senseless murder of his father. I cannot tell you how many times Wyatt has asked me why. Why did a man have to kill my daddy? Why did my daddy have to die? Why do my friends have a daddy and I don't? What do I say to that? How can I explain to my son something that I don't understand myself? I pray this man never walks free again. I want to be able to say to my child with confidence that the bad man will stand forever in prison until he meets.
Come in the courtroom. Ralph Stanley Elrod Jr. was given 2 life sentences without parole, plus 100 years for the murders of Sergeant Patrick Sondon and Deputy Daryl Smallwood. Next, we head to San Diego, California. It's 1:40 a.m. outside the Edward J. Schwartz Federal Courthouse. Things seem pretty quiet. But watch as a hooded figure arrives and places a bag in front of the court entrance. Set it on fire. Takes off. The flames quickly travel up the courthouse doors. Then inside the bag was a bomb, which contained over 2 pounds of explosive powder jammed into 3 steel pipes, along with over 100 roofing nails. The explosion blew out the doors to the courthouse, causing major property damage. The blast also sent shrapnel over a block away and 6 stories in the air. Even though there were people inside the courthouse, thankfully no one was hurt. The person in the video who lit the fuse is Rachel Carlock. Why detonate a bomb in front of a courthouse? Authorities quickly found out after receiving a tip from a man named Donnie Love. But Love wasn't trying to be a good citizen. Turns out he was the mastermind behind the whole thing. Love allegedly convinced Carlock and 2 other suspects to buy materials for the bomb and detonate it at the courthouse. Then he called the FBI. His motive? Reward money to pay off his many debts and a potential break from the state in a few of his own unrelated pending criminal cases. The FBI quickly put all the pieces together. The U.S. Attorney's Office have withheld photos of the alleged perpetrators, but Carlock pled guilty in connection to the bombing and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. As for Love, he pled not guilty and went to trial at the same courthouse where the bomb went off. With the help of Carlock's testimony, Love was convicted on 10 counts, including using a weapon of mass destruction, and sentenced to 55 years in a federal prison.
Is there such thing as pure evil? We think so.
Next, we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for a sentencing hearing. 19-year-old Shondell Jackson was convicted of first-degree murder for killing 21-year-old college student Nathan Potter. After finding out he wasn't carrying any cash, Jackson reportedly became angry and shot and killed him. At trial, Jackson was admonished for his defiant behavior, which included using profanity and flashing a smile in the direction of the victim's family. After being disrespected by Jackson at the previous hearing, the victim's father addresses the court during sentencing.
Judge, there is nothing that can be said to bring back our Nathan. But your sentence can ensure that Shondell does not have the opportunity as a free man to inflict pain like this again. Is there such thing as pure evil? We think so.
Given the chance to speak, Jackson offers little more than a plea to save his own life.
I apologize for my behaviors. Please, don't take my life from me.
In Wisconsin, first-degree murder brings a mandatory life sentence, but it's up to Judge Rebecca Dallett to decide if Jackson will ever be offered the possibility of parole.
I am going to sentence Mr. Jackson to life imprisonment without possibility for a sentence provision.
The judge's ruling does sit well with Jackson. He turns towards the gallery and shoots a menacing glare in the direction of the victim's family before a deputy forces him to look forward.
I know that that is something that is reserved for the most serious of cases, and I believe that this case rises to that level.
After trying to look back at the gallery, a deputy holds Jackson down on the table.
That is something that is reserved for the most serious of cases.
It appears the situation may be under control until he stands up, knocking the deputy onto the defense table. As Jackson's wrestled to the ground, this deputy can be seen pulling pepper spray from her belt and then using it to subdue him. Shondell Jackson is currently serving life without the possibility of parole for the murder of Nathan Potter. Next, we're in Mount Clemens, Michigan for the sentencing of Nathan Hines. The 21-year-old pled guilty to operating a vehicle while intoxicated, causing death after he struck and killed a 44-year-old motorcycle rider. Hines' blood alcohol level was 0.14, nearly 2 times the legal state limit. 18 years in prison, Hines addresses the court and the victim's family.
I just wanted to say first and foremost, again, and I know I can't say it enough, I'm sorry to the Webbers. I'm so sorry. It was a terrible decision, and I wake up every day just hoping that that's not what happened, that it's just this is all going to be done with, but that's not the case. My hope is that I can share with other people and prevent more people making decisions like this, like I did, and just prevent this more senseless death. That's it. Thank you, Your Honor.
At this point, many defendants would not want to be facing veteran Judge Mary Charnowski, better known as Scary Mary.
Well, maybe if she stopped doing drugs and stopped drinking alcohol, the bipolar wouldn't exist. Now all of a sudden, you're looking at going to prison and you want to go to drug court. Oh, buckle up, wake up, woman, they took away your kids.
But today, rather than making an example of Hines, she makes a connection with him.
And I think of all of the experiences that I've had in life, all of the things that I've encountered in life, why do I end up with your case? And there are reasons why, I believe. I arrested for drunk driving, have an idea of what that means. I nearly killing my mother in a drunk driving accident. I understand what you are going through. I genuinely do. Every day I am thankful that she didn't die because of my irresponsibility in my youth. But the most serious thing and the most important thing that I remember is when I put my mother in a casket when she died at the age of 82, and the scar that I caused on her forehead was still there. So, I don't know if is it a good thing that you got me as a judge or not. I think it is. I hope now you wake up and you can save lives and use what I've experienced like I do sitting up here, sharing with everyone my mistakes. Now it's your turn. It's your turn when you get out of prison, because that's where I'm going to have to put you, to get out and share your experiences and save other lives. To the family that lost their son, I am so sorry, because I understand that loss. To your family who will now lose a son for a few years as you are in prison, appropriate sentence. But underneath all of it was your decision at the age of 21 to drink and drive. Don't go out and do this behavior. Call your friend. We got Uber now. Call them. Let them drive you home. It's a sense of the court that you will be incarcerated for a period of 29 months to 15
Following the sentencing guidelines, Judge Chernowski handed down the open-ended sentence of 29 months to 15 years, allowing Nathan Hines the opportunity to earn his release. Hines would ultimately serve 3 years and 8 months for the charge of operating while intoxicated, causing death. Next, we go back into the archives for a sentencing from 2007 in Houston, Texas. 19-year-old Dexter Johnson was found guilty of capital murder. A year earlier, Johnson and 4 accomplices carjacked 23-year-old Maria Aparici while she sat in her vehicle with boyfriend Hoi No, age 17. After robbing the couple, the group drove the victims to a wooded area where Johnson raped Maria. Then he and one of his accomplices walked the couple deeper into the woods and executed them. Johnson admitted taking part in the crime, but claimed he was not the shooter. A jury found him guilty. Now, in front of a packed courtroom filled with family members of both the defendant and the victims, Johnson's about to learn his sentence.
Dexter Darnell Johnson, the jury has found you guilty of capital murder. In accordance with the laws of the state of Texas, this court hereby assesses your punishment of death. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is going to complete your jury service. I'll meet you in the jury room.
A devastated Johnson remains seated while his family reacts to the sentence. When suddenly, Johnson springs from his seat, knocking over a computer monitor, and then makes a move in the direction of the victim's family. Pandemonium has taken over the court, sending one attorney under the desk. Several officers surround Johnson, while others try to keep the gallery at bay. Moved from the court. But the mayhem spills out into the hallway. One family member so upset, she requires medical attention. After 12 years of failed appeal, a federal judge issued a stay just 24 hours before the execution date. The reason? Johnson's attorney argued he was intellectually disabled and therefore ineligible for the death penalty. The case continues to be argued, and Johnson still remains on death row. 3 of Johnson's accomplices received sentences of life in prison with no chance of parole, while a 4th was sentenced to 25 years. That's this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.